Hey, it's Ethan here at etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination E Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on a 2021 Chrysler Pacifica. This is a 2-bike platform style bike rack capable of supporting 2 bikes up to 70 pounds, and it's going to hold on to our bikes primarily with these clamps on the frame as well as 3 additional straps down at the bottom. Because this rack does have that 70-pound weight capacity, typically you're going to use this for heavier bikes and most often e-bikes, but if you do want to maybe get one of your carbon frame bikes on here as well, we wouldn't recommend it just because it does make that frame contact with this clamp and could potentially damage your frame while you're driving. But one of the nicer features that this rack offers is the fact that it tilts, and it tilts really aggressively, almost 90 degrees. So to tilt it away, we'll start by loosening up this gray hand knob down here until it gets to the point where you can push it down. Just like that. And then I like to just hold on to the back of the center mast here and guide it down slowly. There's a decent amount of resistance, so you don't have to do it completely by yourself. And once we have it all the way down, we can open up the hatch. Because it does tilt so aggressively, we do have enough clearance, and we have tons of room back here if we wanted to change our shoes in between rides or get helmets, gloves, waters, whatever we might need for our ride out of the back. To tilt it back up, you have a couple of different options. I like to do this just from the top, but we will have to come back around to make sure that that knob gets threaded back through. Same thing as before, just in reverse. Feed it in and tighten it up. Another nice feature about this rack is that it does have this telescoping ramp. It doesn't integrate onto the rack itself, so you will have to remember to bring it wherever you go. And one of the drawbacks is that you can only put it on one end on either side. You can't put it on all 4 because the cradles do get in the way. But to get our bike removed, I'll first start just by placing the ramp on the side. You can see that there is this notch here that the ramp will fit around, and it just rests in place. You can telescope it to make it a little bit longer to make the incline a little bit less steep, but in our shop we don't have a ton of room. To remove the bike, we'll first start with these straps. So just press this gray release and we can guide the straps out through the spokes. I like to just try to get them under the other side so they don't get in the way too much while I'm getting the bike removed. You come to the front and get the 2 other straps removed. You can see that they do have a nice rubber molding on the middle of them to protect your tire, which is just a nice little add-on. Now that those are out of the way, we can come up here to these cradles. You'll just have to unthread this hand knob. Good idea to hold onto your bike because your straps are now loosened and the bike will want to move around a little bit. And then we can get that out of the way, and I can slowly start to guide it down the ramp. This cradle might interfere with that pedal a little bit. You might have to do some tilting. It's not a perfect system, but it does make loading and unloading your bikes a little bit easier if they're really heavy and you need a little bit of help. With the bike removed, we can take a closer look at some of the specs of the rack. So you can probably see that it does have that shape where it bends down on either side. That's to help you support some different wheelbases of up to 50 inches. The cradles do support a tire width of 4.5 inches, which is more than it looks like, to be honest. It doesn't look like they are that large, but they do, partially because of this folding cradle here in the front where the other strap is. With all of those in place, I can fold this center mast down now just to get an idea of what it would be like to live with it in that position. So to start, I'll undo these rubber straps, pull these levers down, and we can tilt it down. Again, these cradles may or may not get in the way for you. Just something you kind of have to play with a little bit with this rack. And then once it's down, we can tighten these handles back up. And we can get these straps back in place. I wanted to fold it down first so we could get some measurements and give you an idea of what it's going to look like if you wanted to live with it in this position. So from the bumper to the furthest point back on this mast, it's going to be 39 inches. So this does stick out quite a bit. You're definitely going to notice that if you want to leave it in that position. As far as ground clearance goes, because it does have that shape where it flexes down on either side, and the Pacifica does sit pretty low, the lowest point is only going to be about 13 inches. So something you're going to want to consider as far as, can I make it up this hill or over the curb or whatever have you. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, but just something to be mindful about. We can fold the rack up towards our vehicle. We're going to have to start by unthreading or undoing this clip on the other side, and then we can pull this pin out. Might have to wiggle the rack up and down just a little bit. Now we can fold it up, replace that pin as well as the clip, and we can get a new measurement to see how much space you saved. Now with it folded up, from the bumper to the furthest point back, probably just the end here, it's going to be about 13 inches, so just about the same as we had on the ground clearance. So it really does make things pretty compact, and it's pretty top heavy, so there's going to be a little bit of back and forth wiggle, but it doesn't come close enough to where I would be worried about it making contact. However, it is a pretty bulky rack, and it does cover up some things on the back of our vehicle. Our license plate from the middle might be a little bit obstructed, but there are plenty of windows where you could see through. Backup camera is also directly in the middle, and it's going to be definitely at least partially obstructed by the center here. Again, you're going to have windows for it. Doesn't come anywhere near our taillights though, and our rear window, you might just be able to see the very top of the mast, but it's going to be pretty much fully visible as well. The rack uses a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch receiver. It's held in place by this pin and the clip. On the shank here, you can see that there is this welded collar that lines you up with the pinholes every time, and you're not going to be able to stick the rack in so far that it hits your car. It's all secured down by this anti-rattle handle here in the back. We have it sideways, so you're probably going to want to try to do the same, because if you leave it down, it's going to lower your ground clearance a lot. It can potentially take damage while you're driving. The lock on the end is going to help give you an extra layer of security. It's also keyed alike to the lock core on the clamps, so it's all under one system. Here we are on our test course. As we hit the alternating bumps, you can see what it would be like to hit a pothole on the road. Our solid speed bumps simulate pulling in and out of a driveway or hitting a speed bump in a parking lot. We use the slalom portion of our course to simulate the side-to-side movement, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Overall, the Hollywood Racks Destination E is definitely a really solid bike rack for getting those bikes up to 70 pounds wherever you need them to go. I like the ramp design. Kind of a shame that you can't put it on all 4 spots, and you do have to remember to bring it. So if you do like the idea of having a ramp, but maybe you want it to be integrated and be able to be used on every spot, you might want to check out something like the Yakima on-ramp. But again, for the build quality, and it's pretty easy to use, I still think that the Hollywood Racks Destination E is a really nice choice. This is just a look at how it fits on our 2021 Chrysler Pacifica.